Okay, so in this demonstration, I want to show you how to create this uh, bookmark that is inspired by the medieval illuminated manuscript. You can see in the handout, I have provided some pages information of the medieval manuscript I saw at the New York Public Library. Now, to create this bookmark, you can use watercolor paper. Now, of course, if you have parchment paper, you're welcome to use this as parchment paper. With parchment paper, it has a light tint to it. And you can see that, it has a bit of a light tint to it. Now, with if you don't have parchment, you can use watercolor paper. And the way I do it is, you get a piece of watercolor paper, and then you have this is just walnut ink. Okay, I do a quick demo. You can put the walnut ink onto the piece of watercolor paper like that. Just really soaked it of all corners. I'll do not the whole page, but it's part of it. And then what you can do is that you grab some tissue paper and you tap on it. Just take out some excess. Okay, so once it's dry, you can cut it into a bookmark. So it will be very simple like that. Okay, so create this kind of like parchment feeling to it. Now, I would not cut this before, because it will, when it's wet, it will wrinkle a little bit. I'll let the whole piece of watercolor paper dry, and before I cut into the bookmark shape. So I have already prepared. So this is the bookmark, and this is what we want to achieve. So I'll put it here so you can just compare. Now, in the illuminated medieval manuscript, you will see that there is always some guidelines here. So the guideline just give an impression of the manuscript. So what you can do is you can use a red color pencil, or you can also buy these like mechanical pencil lead that comes in red color. So the one that I have here, I want to show you is this one, okay, which I really like. It's the Uni 0.5 red color. And red color. And what we do is you will first just put the outline on the edge on all four sides. And I put it quite close to the edge of the bookmark. I'm using this grid ruler, which really helped me to place it, and I know straight away I just use 1/4 of an inch for that. Now, the second thing I would do is I'll write the calligraphy first. And so in order to do that, you want to make sure that your name or whatever you're writing has equal spacing on top and bottom. Now, because not necessarily, today is not a calligraphy class, and not necessarily everyone is using broad edge. So I'm just gonna use the guide that I'm familiar of. And I'll guide very gently with the pencil. So it will indicate to me where the baseline, where the X height, and where the cap lines is for my broad edge calligraphy. Now, for those who are not very comfortable to write directly on the page, you can also, like write out separately on a piece of scrap paper like this one, which I've done it to save time. Now, the measurement is exactly the same. It doesn't matter whether it's center aligned or not, because what I'm going to do next is I'm going to cut this out. I'll cut it out like this, close to the edge of the writing. This is helping us how to find the central alignment if you want to put the name right in the center. Now, so I cut it. So make sure that you cut it on the edge And then you will fold it into half. Once you fold this is where the central alignment is, okay? Let's zoom in, so I'll make it darker to show you, okay, like this. And then I'll go back to my bookmark. I also need to find the central placement of it. This is a 6-inch long, so in the middle is 3 inches. So this is where center alignment is. So easily then what we do is you place it on top and you can just try to mimic and copy. Now, because of time saving, and I'm using just a simple Mitchell Italics broad edge pen to write this, but normally I'll use a pointed pen, a pointed broad edge pen like this one, which something like this to write with and dip ink. But because of demonstration, keep everything simple, I will just do this. So I'm gonna write, copying my name on it. This script is called engrossing text. And I really like it because it's very easy to write and it's legible. Then write my surname. Like this, okay? Now, so once it's done, I don't erase the pencil line immediately because sometimes it takes time for it to dry and I don't want to, have any smudging. Now, the next step is you can see that I'm leaving the left space and the right space for filling up the flowers. And usually you can use a mechanical pencil and draft out the design first. But because of time, I'm just gonna go straight in with directly with need to find an eraser. There you go. I just want to remove some lines here so I can show you how I draw this. Now, in the medieval time, one of the very popular flowers that's been used is the English daisy. And I would just simply draft the flower with a micron 005, very fine pen. Now, this is a cone shape, and then it has a top where the pink petals is. I'm keeping it quite light. And I would draw another one, make sure they are not facing the same direction. This one is facing this way. Cone, kind of like a pizza. And then you can draw a little bud here as well. And then I'll pull the line, the stems. This can come here, connecting to the stem. Now I'm leaving some space so that I can fill it up with the border like this on the bottom. Okay, now the next, add some leaf. Like that. Now you do the same thing for this side. So draw the flower, which is a triangle shape, a cone shape. I'm just dotting it so that later it's not very solid line. Another one, kind of a piece of shape, quite easy to create this. Now you pull the line here, you can cross over, you can create a little smaller version of it. Again, draw the leaves, or the C curve and C curve. Okay, and something like that. So 2 bunches of flowers. Now then what I do is I will turn the page like this, and I'll zoom out a little bit. I'll draw an S curve. This is the vine. And you're basically making an S curve like that. Now, I usually add this just to represent where it stops. And then on this vine, we can also determine where the other colors go. So for example, if you want to add an orange like here, equally spread, I'll do that first. So let's say I put one here and one here, and then another one with a C curve coming out from the branch. Okay, so maybe I'll make 4 of it. You can do a couple of them equally spread. And then once you have this, zoom back in, I will then add where the gold will be. So these will, from a C curve extending from this line, make sure it's not a straight line curving. You can make dots, you can make, this is where I will fill it in with gold later. Can change the shape sometimes. And when you do this, the gold can be spread evenly, can be spread, you know, gold, gold, black, or black, gold, black, up to you. There's no rules for it. Where I put the gold. I want to fill up the space, make it a bit bigger. Now the important is you want to make sure the spacing in between are quite even. So you don't want them to be too close to each other. Or too far away from each other. And here I usually end it with a little bud like that. Now I do the same on this side. I usually turn it to this side. The S curve. You determine where the big orange flower will go. Use some other colors. It can be blue as well. Okay, and then you can add the details. Sometimes you can cross over. In my workshop, I'll go through the vines more in detail, how you can form them different ways. But for today, we're just doing a C curve from the stamp and creating all of these little details. Some space here you can fill in. And make sure that it's starting from here, curving out is more elegant. Okay, and moving forward. Also with but ending. Now you notice that there will be some spaces here. Don't worry, what you can then do is in the medieval time, maybe I'll add one more flower here, a bud, so that, you know, it takes up little space. But in the medieval time, you notice that a lot of them, they use these little kind of what I call like alien looking things to fill up this gap, So I can do an oval, extend it with little kind of spider legs. Like that. Now for spaces like this, you can also use kind of like these little S-curve to create a busy kind of like impression, like it's full on. Now come back to this side, you do the same. You fill up the space with the oval and then these legs. And if you look at the manuscript, even online, you notice a lot of times. So I'll add a few here just to make it look quite busy. Okay, now obviously if you're not comfortable to freehand, you can use a pencil and then draft it on top. So I will watercolor. Now with the watercolor today, I'm going to keep it really simple. I'm going to use a palette that gives you the red, the green and the blue and a bit of yellow. This is a brown color here. And you can see how I worked. And now in order to do that, you must have a scrap paper. This is for testing the watercolor. Well, I like using watercolor to build up the colors, but you may be able to use squash if you prefer, you know, like. Okay, now let's paint. I will paint the flower first. I'll pick up the color. Make sure that it's very light. I always start with the light color first. So using a light tone. And I will paint all the same colors so that I don't have to keep washing my brushes. Now you can always test on the paper. You can see that this might be a little bit too dark. You can add a little bit more water to make it a bit lighter. And then also here, the top part. Like so. Okay, and then oops, I'm missing this little one here. Now and then I'll do the green. So the green, I'm going to pick a green color, also with a very light wash, test it on the paper, quite light, because I will build the color later on by putting another layer to make it darker. Test it. Now, in my class, I'll talk more about the techniques, but here you can see that when it's still wet, this is wet, you can add another kind of green, right? And you can see it will spread a little bit. So only when the paper is still wet. It's a wet on wet technique. You can add a little bit more gradation of colors like this here. Okay. Then I will paint all the leaves with a bit of a duller, more earthy tone. So I'll paint all these leaves. Okay. Now those are for the gold. The vines that will be using gold. And when it's still wet, you can add darker tone so that the watercolor will bleed through. Okay, now then the next step is I'm going to add the details. I'm going to have the same red, but this time I'm not putting too much water. You should be able to have able to draw the details. So I'm putting little dots on the top of the petals. Little dots. And then you can pull some lines. Make sure you keep that watercolor very dry, not too much water, because otherwise it's impossible to do the details. Now, if the brush gets a little bit thick, you can sharpen it by twisting and pulling, and then it will get sharper, and you pull these hairlines. And of course, you can change the brush size as well to make us like even thinner brush. Okay, now I'll do the same here. Now, usually I paint a little bit slower for demonstration. I'm going to show you the whole result. Like that, the same, pulling it in C curve. From C curve, C curve, following it, like that. Then also we will have some thin lines coming from this little bud, like that. Okay, now we'll do the same for the green. You can have less water. We want to make it like almost like that. So you can draw the lines here. Make sure as thin as possible. If you actually look at the illuminated manuscript, the paintings are very, very delicate. And it's very, very amazing to see it in person, because the artwork, it's very, very detailed. Okay, now you have this. Now the next step is I'm gonna put the orange, where this will give a little bit pop. So remember, when I draw this, I draw these first, right? Because it helped me to determine how to spread this color evenly. So that's one. In order to avoid smudging, I'm going to turn it around. Paint the orange one. Now, if you want to stay within the line, you can always paint around it first, like this, and then paint in the middle. And make sure you're using a very fine brush so that it's easier to stay within the lines. Now, once you have this, I'm gonna have a quick check. I think I'm missing the buds. So the little buds here will have the same pink color. There's a little bit of pink color and the leaves. And put the leaves in green color. That. Okay. Now, the next thing that we need to do is the gold. The gold color, you can use the palette. This is a Finetec or Coloreal gold, which you basically take it out. I'd like to do that, and I will add water. Make sure that it's very opaque, so don't add too much water. You can see that. And then I like to turn it on the side to work on it. It's easier. So try to be as accurate as possible. Now, if your gold paint on top of the black line, at the end, I will use the black micron pen and go back to the drawing and touch up. But I do the gold first. a little bit of water. And make sure you have good lighting when you're doing such a fine detail of work. They're quite small. Now, if I'm doing a large piece like the President's Certificate, I'll be gilding it, not painting with gold, these little dots. And one of the tips is when there's so many little dots, you can always put a red color pencil on top. Like you color it like this on all the area where you want to gild so that you don't miss them. Because when you do gilding, you involve the gesso or Instacoal, which is a size, gilding size, which is a liquid form. You don't want to forget some dots and have to take out the materials and redo it again. So you can use the red color pencil to remind you where you need to gild. Okay, I think I'm almost done here. Okay, all the gold on. Now, I still have time. So while the gold is drying, I'm gonna go back to making a little bit more details for my painting. So the little bud, which I want a darker red, so I will mix it like this. I take the red and then I add a bit of green and it becomes more like a burgundy red. So when I do the details, it will pop out better. Little lines coming out from. And then another one here. You always can turn the paper to avoid smudging. Okay. Like that. Okay. Now, I will also use a white color to do some highlight. Because I said that in the medieval manuscript, everything is very, very fine, right? So I'm going to use a Dr. P.H. Martin's bleed proof white. And I use the cap as the palette, the painting palette. Make sure it's not too much water. You can always test it and see if it runs. You can find area darker and see if it runs well. Or on the painted area and see if the white does pop out. So what I then do is use the white, add little highlight, on some detail. And I like Dr. P.H. Martin's because it's very opaque. So it does come out very nicely. You can draw on the leaves as well. Very thin line. Now, so I will be doing a little dots here. The main reason is when people look close up, they can see all these little details. And currently I switched to a 00 brush. I move the angle of the brush to pull the line. It's easier this way. Okay, now once this is done, which I still have 2 minutes, which is amazing. Now, I will then go back with my micron. The gold should be dry now. Then I basically go back to all the little details and go back and tracing it. You can darken these dots to make it more pop. And I will go around to make sure that the outline is still clear. You can add little lines here. It's really, really mindful to do this. Pay attention to all these details, you know. Almost finishing this. Okay, so let's assume this is done. You know, in real life, I would go into checking all the details. So that, voila, there you go. You got a little bookmark made, inspired by the medieval illuminated manuscript style. Now, I want to show you, besides bookmarks, you know, or it's not just always on paper. Recently, I've been making these, I posted on my Instagram as well. These little pen rest, they're really, really cute, or brush rest, that I did a couple of them using clay, and the concept is exactly the same. I draw the outline, you know, like do the calligraphy, do the details, I varnish it as well, and make this one. This is not finished yet. So yeah, it can be more than just you know, on pen and paper. My coming workshop, maybe I'll give you a little, like a sneak peek, and want to show you, have prepared some really amazing handout, over 44 pages, 40 pages of handout, and you can see that, give you a quick glance of what they are. Basically, I'm teaching this with inspiration from the medieval manuscript I saw at the New York Public Library. So let's zoom out a little bit more, and you can see I printed into a booklet, right? So you will have like learned from different manuscript. There's a lot of image reference of the Vine's drawings. These are the books that you actually, I actually saw them and took photos of them. And so one of the project I made for myself is I recreated using the border from this book. And there was this bird I draw into a bookmark, and also created another one with the blue color, which is this one. And I've gave you a bunch of samples on your handout, which you can mimic doing that. So there's no words, but these are using gilding, so the gold is more raised, like that. And also, you know, from other books besides watercolor, I'll also show you how to draw the vines, all the little details, the different options you can create, different ways of petals, and how do you form the vines, the ways to do the vines, illuminated initials. We'll be learning how to create these initials as well. Also, we learned how to draw a canter sleeve, because there's one manuscript that I saw has a lot of a canter sleeve. The simple version of drawing these, rather than, like some canter sleeve can be very complicated. Also show you how to design the layout, the different ways, like traditional method and also the modern method. Now, because it's online class, I will have a little bit more time without stopping. So I would show you also Textura calligraphy, so that you can combine calligraphy with the manuscript border design. And lastly, I have pages where, showcase you different ways of you can create modern gift or modern artwork inspired by the manuscript. These are extra information about the watercolor. So if you're interested, I hope you can join me. It's gonna come out quite soon in the mid of May. Okay, so that's me done with my demo.